بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Viewers, my name is Sumayya Hassan. I am the hostess of Aspire and I am very honored to be here with you today to discuss today's topic, which is on personal branding. As we start this topic on personal branding, I reflect on the ayah of the Quran, Surah 68, verse 4, where Allah is telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, that truly and truly you are of outstanding character. This is what the Prophet ﷺ was known for, being outstanding in his character. Sayyidatna Aisha radiallahu anha, when she was asked about Rasul ﷺ, tells us, kana khuluquhu Quran. His character was the Quran. He was like the Quran. So this was the brand of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was his personal brand, his outstanding character, his character which was like the Quran, which reminds us of the Quran. And this has been broken down by way of just helping us to understand how exemplary was his character. And he has been described his characteristics, his attributes in very many different ways. And we are told he epitomized kindness, compassion, and love. We are told he was genuine and selfless. He was honest and trustworthy. He was a man of principle, a man of integrity. He was gentle yet strong. He was modest yet confident and dignified. He was wise in his words and his actions. He epitomized balance, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when we talk about the concept of personal branding, who better to start off this conversation? What better example do we have than the blessed messenger, peace and blessings upon him, who exemplified excellence in character. So when it comes to us, therefore, those who want to follow in his footsteps, and we talk about character, what does it mean to us? What is character to us? And why is this important? And how can we build character? So we are talking about personal branding today, and we are talking about how you present yourself, how we present ourselves. How do you show up to other people? And this comprises very many different things. It's how you present yourself, it is how you speak, it is how you dress, it is how you carry yourself, whether it is a professional setting or whether it is an informal setting. And so what is personal branding? Personal branding relates to how we inwardly and outwardly project ourselves. And this has impact both in our personal lives and in our professional lives. And it really doesn't matter whether you are a professional, whether you are a student, whether you're job hunting, whether you're an entrepreneur or an employee, whether you're just starting out. At the end of the day, your personal branding is very important because, among other reasons, it instills trust, it instills credibility in you as a person, in your knowledge, in your abilities, and everything else that makes you. And in today's ultra-competitive world, particularly the job market, the entrepreneurial space, it really is important to build trust. A lot of business is done on the basis of relationships. and relationships are built on trust. And so how you are strategically positioning yourself, how you are projecting yourself is really very important, and it is something that you should be very deliberate about. So as you look at building your personal brand or improving your personal brand, I would like to share with you some points, 10 points to be exact. Number 1, reflect. It's important to be clear about your objective. What is it that you wish to achieve? Who are you? Where are you in your career today or in your studies? What is it that you would like to achieve? Who is the target audience for you? What are some of the things that make you unique? Now here we are looking perhaps in a more competitive space, perhaps in a business environment. Do you have competitors? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Many times people can list for you a string of strengths, but they will really struggle to come up with even one weakness. Self-awareness is an extremely important part of you building your personal brand. You must know what your weaknesses are, and your inability to identify a personal weakness is actually a weakness. You should be quite clear what are some of the things that you need to work on and what you need to build. What are your end goals and how can you achieve them? And so the more specific you are able to be on some of these things, the more specific a market perhaps you are targeting for a particular area, the easier it is then for people to have recall of what your personal brand is. Of course, it's not just the one thing. There are a number of items that go into building this. But the first item is for you to be very clear on who you are. What are the things that you need to change? Where are your weaknesses? What are the strengths that you need to build on? And your intention. Your intention is critical. You know that we are told the first hadith in a lot of the hadith books, when you look at them, will always be innamal a'malu binniyat. The intention is critical. So what is your intention? And this is really important. Research is the second point. And research is important because you want to be clear about your perception to the outside world. The personal branding comes in terms of how other people are perceiving you. And so it matters. How you show up matters. Remember, how you dress matters. Remember, how you speak matters. You could go into a formal business meeting and you know what they talk about? First impressions. And that deal can be sealed or it can be lost in the first few seconds just because of how you showed up. You can lose a job that you may be very well qualified for because of how you show up in the interview, because of how you show up in your letter of application or in your CV. You know, you're very careless perhaps, full of spelling errors, perhaps it's even cut and paste. You've actually put the name of a wrong organization. I have seen this, and you expect to be given that job. You walk into an interview session, you're not clear about the ethos of this place. So you haven't dressed in a manner that projects the type of skills and values that this organization upholds. And so it is really important that you do your research, and in today's world that you pay attention to your digital presence. What is out there about you? Sometimes you hear people talking about, oh, you know, I Googled myself online for fun just to see what it says. Yes, but you need to Google yourself for purposes of knowing what is the brand that has already been established as far as you are concerned out there. It's very important. And when you do this research, it may give you an opportunity perhaps. There could be posts that you have outgrown, maybe that are irrelevant, you know, that you can work around at the moment. And it is very important, therefore, that you do this work of understanding what is it that is out there as far as your personal brand is concerned. Number 3, I would encourage, try and create a personal brand statement. This is a statement that helps you put together in a very summarized format, perhaps your expertise, your skills, your capabilities. And when you're looking at formal professional sites, for instance, like LinkedIn, you will see some people have very, very concise, very smart LinkedIn taglines that in one sentence gives you a summary of what what skill sets they have, maybe what they stand for, what their values are. And somebody could be looking for a business opportunity, they could be looking for an employee perhaps, and just from that statement, they have a very good idea of who you are. So be careful about crafting a personal brand statement. Okay, number 4, once you have insight into who you are, and it's not automatic, by the way, that, oh, because it is me, I will know myself. You should know yourself. But if it's not a deliberate exercise, and if you're not involving those people who are close to you, who know you well, because how you think you are may not be how you present yourself to the outside world. People may see you very different. You may think you're the calmest person on this earth, and yet people see you as somebody who has an anger problem. You're not able to control your temper. You're somebody with a very short fuse. You blow up in an instant. And maybe you don't realize this. But when you speak to those who are close to you and you try and have this conversation, they may help you to understand what the triggers are for this type of reaction. And then you can start working on them. So it is important to have insight, not only from yourself, but those who know you. Then you need to create an action plan. So you've already stated what your goals are from what we discussed initially. Now break that down into more manageable steps so that you're clear. This is what I want to achieve. These are my milestones. These are the timelines. What do you need? Okay, I may want to be my personal, perhaps a brand statement may include being a thought leader in a particular area. Do you have the requisite skills for that? Maybe you'll need to skill up. Maybe you'll need to go for more training. Maybe you'll need a bit of mentoring. So it's important that you then have an action plan that leads you to the goal that you have identified. It will also help you to stay on track and be unaccountable. You want to have an accountability partner that you share this with and say, okay, this is my goal. This is where I have set myself as far as my own personal statement is concerned, and I would like you to help me stay on track. Number 5, create a toolkit. What are the tools, what are the techniques that will help you build your brand? So, for example, is it a website? Is it a blog? Is it a write-up that you do regularly, perhaps on your LinkedIn page? Is it a book? Is it opportunities that you get to speak at professional fora, or you contribute to certain professional magazines? Be clear. If you're holding yourself out in a certain way, then what are some of the tools that you may need to put in place? If you want to be considered an expert in your field, then how are you contributing to the growth of that field? Are you writing? Are you contributing technical papers, professional papers? Are you doing research in that field that increases the body of knowledge? How is it that you are contributing to that field? So your toolkit is important. Number 6, develop a strategy. The strategy is very important for you to be clear on the how. So for example, if you have determined that a professional platform is the right way for you to go, you want to post professional content, how often do you want to post? What type of content? Do you have a list that says, okay, in a month, I want to talk about 1, 2, 3 topics, and I will talk about them twice a week, and one day I will talk about this, the next day I will talk about this, and this is how I will go about it. Maybe one article which is a page long, and the other one will just be maybe 1 or 2 lines, that just post an update on something relevant in that field. So be clear on what your strategy is and build on that. Number 7, monitor your personal brand engagement. And this helps to promote positive participation, but will also help you plan for negative remarks and reviews, because there may be some people who will give you negative remarks. They will give you negative reviews. And so how will you manage around that? How will you know when you have achieved? What are the milestones you have set? But also, how do you help yourself to stay positive when you don't achieve those targets, when you fail? How do you help yourself to unlearn and to relearn? How do you help yourself to deal with negative comments in a positive and constructive manner? Number 8, be authentic. This is really important. Authenticity is critical to your personal branding. And if we look at the example of our beloved Prophet, Muhammad, peace and blessing upon him, he is an amazing example of authenticity and really being true to who you are, regardless of the environment you're in and who you are dealing with. And so it is really very important for you to be the very best version of yourself. That's what we mean when we talk about authenticity. Who are you, and how can you be the best version of who you are? And that again links to what I mentioned earlier about knowing yourself. It means identifying your strengths, building on them. It means identifying weaknesses and working on them. Number 9, be consistent. Once you're clear, you really need, on your personal brand, it is very important that you should be consistent. People shouldn't be confused about who you are. Today you're appearing and here you are, your personal brand reflects you as being this type of person. Tomorrow somebody sees you in a place that they cannot reconcile with the personal brand that you have put out for yourself. So it's like, how is it that you are here today and tomorrow you're here and you hear people talking about this, that so-and-so, holds themselves out to be a certain type of person, but they are the same person then who is maybe, perhaps conducting all sorts of unethical practices out there. Maybe they're involved in all sorts of fraud, involved in, all sorts of other traits that cannot be reconciled with that personal brand that you have set up. So it's really important to be consistent. And this is one of the things we are told in Islam, that Allah loves, even if it is something small, be consistent at it. You may not be able to take all these things on at the same time, but the one that you do choose to start with, be consistent at it. If part of your personal brand is, involving yourself in acts of perhaps charity, whether it is with your time, whether it is with your knowledge, whether it is with certain skills and resources that you have, be consistent. Be consistent. And it's not about going out there for people to know and say, oh, so-and-so is doing this or that. No, it's about you setting yourself that this is what I have set as my own personal objective, that I have knowledge and skills in this area, and I want to help people in this area consistently. Finally, be patient. Number 10, be patient. It takes time to build a personal brand. It doesn't happen overnight. And if we are talking about building a professional brand, for instance, you want to be consistent. It's really important that you're aiming for excellence. This is the concept, every time you look at various areas within this great religion of Islam, you see the quest for excellence. And you see great sportsmen and women, you see great artists, how much time they spend on their craft to achieve excellence. You may not be a sportsman or woman, you may not be an artist, but even your work, take your work as your craft. Work on it to achieve that sense of excellence, so that whatever it is that you're working on, work on it in a manner that helps you achieve excellence in your field. Somebody once said, if you are given a cup to wash, wash it like it's never been washed before. That becomes your personal brand. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I look forward to receiving your comments and your questions. Until next time on Aspire, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.